Ask the Podcast Coach for October 25th, 2025.
Let's get ready to podcast.
There it is. It's that music that means it's Saturday morning. It's time for Ask the Podcast Coach, where you get your podcast questions answered live. I'm Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting.com, and joining me right over there is the one and only Jim Collison from TheAverageGuy.tv. Jim, how's it going, buddy?
Greetings, Dave. Happy Saturday morning to you. Happy Halloween Eve.
Halloween something.
Halloween is an Eve. Happy Halloween. We're getting close, right? It's not quite there, but we're getting close, right? Halloween is on its way. Does it feel like every year it's a longer road to Halloween?
Well, because we start celebrating it. Yeah, that's basically it.
Halloween. All of a sudden, Halloween. What are those shops that open up? Halloween.
Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
It's like, Halloween. Look, the old Dick's Sporting Goods is now a Halloween shop. It's like, what?
Yeah. Walden's Books is now Spirit Halloween. I don't think it's Walden's.
That's it.
They're gone. Right?
Borders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I went to a mall this week, just because I haven't.
A mall?
Yeah.
You still have those?
And I was laughing because I was thinking of all the things that aren't there anymore, and that was one of them. Bookstores. It's a lot of clothes shops. Yeah. And Hot Topic, and all that things. But
a mall. It's like Amazon except real. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And, the one thing you could get there was, that's it, nice hot coffee there. And I'm going to laugh because I don't think I rewound our thing. If I click there, I got to go back. Oh, Dave didn't do his morning prep.
That's all right.
What do we get? It is. That coffee pour is brought to you by our good friend Mark over at podcastbranding.co. I am looking forward to, I just emailed him yesterday of my final thoughts on the thing he's working for me. And so I'm not just a customer, I'm a repeat customer. Why? Because he does really good work. He makes you look pretty. He makes you look professional. He makes that first impression that you're trying to make. And this could be artwork. It could be a website. It could be a PDF that you're handing out. Anything that you want to look good. There's really only one place to go, and that's podcastbranding.co. Mark's been an award-winning graphic artist forever. Basically, he's been doing this. And look, let him bring the marketing side. You just bring your show, let him know kind of the vibe of the show, and he will go on from there. You're going to get personalized attention that you're not going to get from some dude on Fiverr, and it's just going to make you look amazing. So, again, there's only one place to go, podcastbranding.co. And tell him Dave and Jim sent you, and then let me know what he designed for you. I want to see it.
I bet it'll be good.
Yeah.
Big thanks to our good friend Dan Lefebvre over there, based on a true story podcast.com. We're still rocking the mug. I mean, I am amazed. We've been doing this for a couple years, right? Here, I'll throw the mug back up there.
There we go.
We've been doing the mug for a couple years. Dan, thanks for getting that made. Also, listen, for Dan's segment, he also sent me a sweet little coaster a ways back here.
Oh, wait, hold on.
You too could have. You can see I'm using it. It's not like it's new. I use it on the desk here. You too can be creative like Dan. If you want to check out what he's doing, check it out today. Based on a true story, podcast.com. If you missed it, Project Blue Book. Very interesting interview. If you're into that, you should go out there and listen to it. Check it out today, Dan. Thanks for your sponsorship.
See, when I hear Blue Book, I just think of the car thing. Is that what that's
you
about?
Remember the show in the 70s, Project Blue Book, don't you? The TV series. They had a TV series. It's back when the government would not, say there's no. They would say, there's no UFOs. No. Then there was a government thing, and it was all mystery and blah 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 blah. If you were into that, so in Dan's series, I think Netflix did a series on this, bringing it back. So they're talking about that. So
got
cool stuff if you like sci-fi, or that's not really sci-fi. That's more, what is that? That's like Bigfoot, UFOs. What do we call that genre? There's a genre like that in podcasting, right? Of all the
paranormal
blurry faces. Paranormal. Yeah. Would that be?
That's kind of more ghosty stuff.
That is
I always thought.
Ghosty. I was thinking Bigfoot and big fish. That's all.
And big shoes.
Hey, look, I'm sitting up. Life's a little
I noticed
bit better.
that.
Not sure I'm going to be able to do it the whole show, but I was going to give it a try. I mean, I'm sweating right now from from the effort it takes to sit up, but it's getting better. So
that's
it's
right.
not over, but it's getting better. Yeah,
it's a step in the right direction. We're finding out here. I clicked on the wrong thing. There we go. Wait, where did the one? Here we go. YouTube isn't showing. I keep going to click, and my mouse has a mind of its own. YouTube isn't showing names this morning. It's showing handles.
Oh, it is showing handles in the chat. So the names in the chat, just to be clear, names in the chat showing handles, and not. I don't think it's certainly you didn't change anything, Dave.
No,
I don't think it's anything we changed.
Very strange. Well, I'm going to play a clip just because it made me wet my pants. This is
there's for at your age, there's things for that, Dave.
This show is brought to you by Depends. Podcast for your next podcast marathon, and we are middle-aged. I do have to, get up and pee every 15 minutes. So, yeah.
I had that taken care of, by the way. So you can too. You can too.
This is from Joe Pulizzi, who his show is called Content Inc. You can find it at contentinc.io. He also he's an author of the same book, Content Inc. His new book is Burn the Playbook. He's a guy I look to. He runs the Content Creator Expo in Cleveland. Used to run Content Marketing World. So when Joe says, well, first of all, he has a great opening hook. Let's check this out.
I spent this week at MACON in Cleveland surrounded by some of the smartest people in AI and marketing. And it was one of those rare times where every conversation feels like a glimpse into the future. And here's what I heard.
Okay. So right there, you're like, well, okay, wait, the smartest people, they said something. I thought that was a good hook. And here's what he heard.
Again and again. Creators have about 3 years. 3 years before the way content is created, delivered, and consumed changes so dramatically that it could upend the entire creator business model. Now, right now, you and I create content. We build audiences. We nurture trust. People come to us because they like our voice, our perspective, our consistency. But the experts I spoke with believe that soon and very soon, devices will do this for people. Now imagine this. Your phone or glasses or car doesn't just find content. It creates it on demand, personalized, synthetic, but perfectly tailored to your needs and preferences. Instead of asking, what podcast should I listen to? Your device just serves you one, written, voiced, and optimized just for you.
Spooky. We'll stop it there. And so his answer to this was, in the next 3 years, make as many human connections as possible. Like, lean into being human, do the stuff that AI can't do, because, he just made it sound like you could go, give me a 5-minute podcast about the latest news in Akron, and it'll like, here you go.
Well, that actually could be very beneficial, right? That kind of content where you're thinking about, like, tell me what's going on. I've been doing this with the AI recently, where as I'm driving home, I say, hey, give me a recap of the news for today. And it starts going through it. And then I can start asking it questions about news. That actually could be really, really helpful. I mean, imagine the ability to get deeper and more information quicker. But that's different, right? That's like, in my mind, that's like local disposable content. And yes, we have folks doing the news, right? I'm sorry, but AI may take that part over.
Right.
But the other kind of content, like I think we were talking about the paranormal at the beginning of the show, paranormal, or the true crime, or some of those kinds of things that are creative. I'm not sure it's there with AI. I'm just not sure it's there. Right. And so I'd agree and disagree with that statement, that I think, 3 years from now, there's going to be AI is going to take some of these spaces. But Dave, I don't know, like our chat room comes on Saturday mornings when we're live, because they want to influence the conversation. They're interested in our lives. I sat up and Stephanie Graham in chat was like, hey, Jim, you're sitting up. You must be feeling better. That's a human interaction you don't get with AI, It just doesn't happen. So what makes us human, right, is that we're not perfect, and that we don't get it right all the time, and that we make mistakes, right? And
Yeah.
that's part of the human experience. So I'm not sure. I wouldn't go too gloom and doom. I don't know, Dave. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's just one of those things where it's kind of like I'm with you. I think things are going to change over the next like 3 years. Number one, I think people are going to finally figure out that when they go, I wish this would do this automatically, that what you're really doing is saying, can you please change my bill to about $20 more a month? Because everything that's added AI, I use a tool called Tela, and I love it. And it does all sorts of stuff, but they added AI to it, and guess what? It's going up about $20 a month if you want all the bells and whistles. Like, AI is not cheap. And I keep hearing, and I don't know how much of it is true, that just the power it takes, the electricity it takes to run all these data centers is gonna come back to where, like, we can't sustain that. I don't know how realistic that is.
Let's be clear. Like, I mean, certainly AI is taking up a lot of power today.
Yeah.
The big worry is the future power as they start talking about, there's all this, I don't know if you've seen, there's this kind of like this, I shouldn't say it. No, I'm not going to say it. There's this circle of companies, you think of OpenAI and Microsoft
Right.
and Google and Oracle and right. And they're all, NVIDIA, they're all buying from each other. They're all say,
Yeah.
hey, if you give me $100 million, I will guarantee you can buy our chips at a nickel, and then
Right.
we'll send them to you, and we'll guarantee you get this right. So they're looking at all that projected. If you put all the contracts together, I mean, you can't build these data. It takes years to build these data centers in a lot of regards, right? So there's a lot of promise, and as soon as they're looking forward, they're starting like, oh my gosh, like we don't have the power infrastructure to be able to handle this, and we don't. Many of these data centers are building their own power.
Right.
They're bringing in portable equipment and running portable power centers to make these things kind of work. So today, sustainable, I mean, it's certainly using a lot of power, but as they look to the future, the thing I'm worried about in this is the bubble it's creating. Because yes, it's $20, but not enough people are paying $20 to make this worth it, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the early .com. If you were around, you and I were around in 2000 when they were laying fiber cable all around the world, level 3,
Yep.
if you remember that name, right? All this cable, and they were spending billions. Then we call it the .com bubble, right?
Yeah.
We're in the AI bubble, and I don't know when it's going to burst, but it has to. It's not sustainable. You can't do what we're doing. The math doesn't work, right? So there's going to be, AI is going to come to it. Doesn't mean AI is going to go away. When the .com bubble burst in 2000, the internet didn't go away, right? It just took us some time to recover. From it.
Right.
And so there's going to be an AI bubble burst. It'll be interesting to see what happens when all this stuff that they're giving away for free or very cheap becomes more expensive or not available, right? That'll be interesting when that bubble bursts. It will be interesting. So I think we've got 3 years. I like that statement of 3 years.
Yeah.
The next 3 years, something happens, I think, in the next 3 years for sure around this. And it could be really, really interesting.
Yeah. Chris says people have more options, including AI built things like Joe speaks of, but it's more noise. People will make choices. Some will choose human connection. Craig from AI Goes to College says Meta is building a huge data center near me, which is Louisiana. They're also building a power plant. And then Randy says they're building a couple data centers in rural West Virginia. The electricity provider has more than doubled our rates in response to that. Well, that's not fair.
But friends, here's what's to watch out for. Like, what always happens on the backside of a bubble, right? When it bursts, things get super cheap. So yes, there's a lot of power consumption. They're going to ramp up these power, they're going to build and bring online new power facilities. When this does burst and all of a sudden there's no demand for AI and all this stuff backs out and everybody runs away from it, all this money walks away. we're going to have an abundance of power. That's
true.
That's that capability.
And our electricity will be very cheap. Yeah, that's true.
Could. I mean,
Could.
that's one thing that could happen, right? Yeah. So it could get interesting for sure.
That would rely on CEOs not being, greedy bastards, which usually
for sure,
doesn't.
But get your crypto mining stuff ready to go. You might want to.
Yeah, it's true.
Might want to be ready.
Jeff C says, "Yeah, I read this in Joe's newsletter. I think live shows like this is where people will run because of the human connection."
For sure.
That's a good point. I saw somebody in Reddit today that said, "Does doing a live show grow your show?" And I actually did an episode on this on the Your Podcast Consultant. I think what it does is it gives you instant connection with your audience. I mean, we've got 32 people in the chat room right now, which is amazing. I mean, that's 1.5 classrooms in my book. I remember when I had 20 people in a class, I was like, oh, I hope they're well behaved. That's where things start to get out of hand. And so it's going to be, the live thing, you get that instant connection. I know a lot of people think, oh, it's great because when you're done, no editing. And I'm like, okay, but let's say that's true. I've been up since 8:30 getting topics and stuff. So the time I spent editing, I now spent preparing because it's live. And so I don't know. And, as much as we have 32 people here, that's, it's a small fraction of the people that listen later. So in terms of growing your show, do you watch anything live, Jim, on TV besides sports?
Sports, but yeah, that's about it.
Even that I don't. I learned I can wait 2 hours till the football game is over, and you end up with this cool little rhythm where it's like they snap the ball, they throw it. The minute the guy gets tackled, it's 2 clicks to the right on my remote till he snaps the ball again. So you can actually just watch the game, and then you skip all the commercials. You can blow through a football game really quick. And I was like, well, there you go. If I can watch, instead of it being 2 hours, it's now 45 minutes. I'm like, I'm never watching another live football game. Now, if it's with a bunch of people, the football game is the background noise. I'm really there for the people and to catch up with my brother and whatever else is going on. I
actually watch more sports on YouTube after the fact, where it's the curated, these are the best plays. Here's the whole program. Here's a whole 3-hour football game in 20 minutes, right? I kind of watch those. And that's an application where AI could do really well of give it 3 hours of a football game, say, remove all the commercials and just give me the highlight plays. Matthew out there said, no one's abandoning AI. Matthew, don't hear me as saying we're abandoning or anyone's abandoning.
No.
The ecosystem is not sustainable, and the demand for it is not as high as they're anticipating. Yes, we're using it, and it's going to stay. It's here to stay, and it's going to continue to be a tool, much like the internet was, in 2000. What I'm saying is the ecosystem as it's being run and built today, it's an arms race. And none of those, that's just not fiscally sustainable. And there will come a point in time when they consolidate down, and then it's not us who pull out. It's going to be these AI organizations that have to pull back because their financials won't work. You can talk these big stories now, but eventually venture capital will be like, no, I don't think so. What could lead to this? Here's what's scary, Dave. So I just saw the other day, I think it was OpenAI or one of them had committed, billions of dollars to this, multi-billions of dollars to this initiative. And it was backed by companies like Chase and JP Morgan and Bank of America, right? This is the banks now getting involved the big banks now getting involved in giant speculative things. Okay, let's remember back to the last time the banks got involved in a big speculative lending. Oh, it was 2007. What happened in 2007, 8, 9, right? When the markets begin to pull back in, right? Because eventually this thing's got to make money. To be honest, there's not enough money on the planet to pay for this thing right now, right? And so when they start to pull in, it'll get interesting as it begins to implode. Exactly what happens, who stays. It will stay. A version of it will stay. Don't get me wrong. It's not going away, right? The internet didn't go away, but It's going to certainly change. And accessibility to it accessibility, accessibility to it will change as well. So we've got it. It's interesting times. These are, if you missed the dot-com bubble, and if you missed the financial crisis of 2008, and you want to see what a real crisis looks like, just wait till the AI bubble pops and watch what do they say? Watch the rats flee from the ship.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be super interesting. I think this is going to be, it'll stay. It's here to stay. And there's some really great stuff about it, but it's going to look different when it does.
Yeah. The Ralph says you nailed it. The problem is nobody watches live, but I think they see the replay is being done live and it brings you the credibility. Yeah, I know. I was listening to Adam Curry on No Agenda, and he was talking about how his wife watches Megyn Kelly. And he goes, oh, so what app do you use to consume her show? And she goes, oh, I just watch the clips on YouTube. And so that's another one where even that, it's time shifted. It's not live, but now people aren't consuming the whole show. They're just getting the best parts as shorts. I'm not sure shorts is a great strategy unless, because I know the payment criteria on shorts is different than long stuff on YouTube. But if you want, in theory, giant quotation marks, more views, because remember, a view on a short that's it. That's a view. There you go. Congratulations. That 4 milliseconds is now a view. But I just wonder about that strategy. On one hand, because I think shorts are great for branding and getting your brand out there. But I'm wondering now, in terms of versus live versus, watching the whole show. Now we have people that feel they are consuming the whole show. Like she said, oh yeah, I'm a fan of her show. I watch it all the time. And she wasn't. She was watching a couple shorts from a, hour and a half show. And I was like, well, that's interesting to, I consume her. Well, you're consuming the shorts. So it's interesting. Jeff has
talked about this. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Jeff has a great point. He says live shows build community. Sure, there are 30 people here watching now, but most show up each week. Hard to put an ROI on that. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I don't think you ignore the shorts. They're brand building, right? You can get them out there. That's one of those things. As your brand is big and gets bigger, the more you do of those, the more they help, right? Because you're everywhere. That's the point of brand, is to be everywhere, right? To be in the face of people, them seeing you all the time. To a point we know brand doesn't last forever. I mean, Taylor Swift at some point will not be popular. There will be a moment where her popularity wanes, right? Let's just say that, right? But that's the point of brand. So I don't think the short, the making shorts, getting them out there, doing them well, I don't think that's a bad idea. Just know what it's for, right? It's a branding exercise. Get it out there, do more, get well. Now, to only do that and expect it to be a driver back, okay, that may be too much of an expectation. Depends on your content, to be 100%, honest. If you've got great short content that's engaging, who knows where it could go with what I watched this, her name is Brooke. I can't remember her last name. She shows up in my feed all the time. She does these shorts where she takes a comedy skit, Nate Bargatze or whatever, and she lip syncs it, and she does it from different angles and different facial expressions. She's wearing different outfits while she's playing the characters of these jokes, of these skits, kind of thing. It's very engaging. She does a great job, and it's one of those kinds of things you're like, okay. Now, Brooke, I don't know how, she's going to have to make money off advertising, because it's not like she's going to take it on the road. It's not like she's making a long form podcast, but Brooke does a nice job on the short side of things. Certainly it's engaged me, and I watch them sometimes. I like to watch just to see the creativity that she makes with these, taking some existing content and making it that way. So I think there can be some value in it. I wouldn't say it's the only thing you should do, for sure.
Yeah, it's tricky. I know the lead singer from Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan, I think is his last name. And what he does is he puts out the long video, and it's out for about a week. So at that point, it's gone to your core listeners. If it's going to go outside of your core, subscribers, it'll do that. So he's given it a chance to go viral. And then after that, he will put out shorts of that. So I think that's kind of interesting. And Stephanie says, yeah, you'll see people through comments how watching a clip is out of context. Yeah, if they only get part of the story, they kind of miss that. Ralph had a question. He says, my new show, Truth Unveiled with Ralph, is growing quick on YouTube, up to 40,000 subs. Nice. And just hit 235,000 watches to my last short. Again, I'm a big fan of this. Go look and see how far people are watching or listening. Question is, what can I do to reach monetization quicker?
Well, more and better shorts, right? Keep that going. And then it has to drive, the short has to drive links back to a monetization strategy. So what do you have to sell? Or what do you have on your show that will create ad revenue for you? It just doesn't magically happen. I mean, Ralph, I know you know that. So what's driving to the revenue stream? I mean, you can have the greatest brand in the world. If you don't have anything to sell,
what
are you selling?
I mean, YouTube monetization. Yep. I mean, my channel's monetized. I forget how long it took, and I honestly don't care because I'm making maybe $5 CPM. It takes months for me to get a check from Google.
You don't have enough volume. Dave.
No,
that's the problem.
That's where you need, and it's that's where you not only need the followers, but if you go to any popular channel and you'll see where they have like 3.2 million, and then they have 987 views. I'm like, wait a minute, there's 3 million people followed the show, but only 900 of them have come back to watch. And you're like, okay, well, when you're making $5 CPM, that 3 million, subscriber podcaster just made $5. I'm like, so I've never looked at YouTube as like, oh, this is where I'm going to really make the money. It's for Ralph. If it was me, I would like, oh, by the way, if you need an accountant, come hire me kind of thing. Or hire me for a business coach or whatever it is you're trying to do. That will always make more money than any kind of advertising. So unless you're a hyper niche show.
He says in chat, the show is selling faith. Okay, so you're selling an idea, right? Or you're trying to sell influence, right? You're trying to be influential, have more people follow you so that what you say they do, right? That's basically what influencing is, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to then continue. If that's the product that you're selling, you've got to make it available to a wide enough audience that they want to listen. They want to follow you. You have to be in a spot where so you've got to either do that through paid advertising, or you've got to get them to do it for you, or you've got to get another influencer to help you along with it, right? Those are the kinds of things that you have to do.
Or put a link in your in the first link of your description should be to buy me a coffee. Because I don't think you have the little $ until you're monetized. And actually, buy me a coffee would be a better link because they take a much smaller percentage than YouTube does. YouTube takes, I want to say 30%. It's a lot compared to everybody else. So that would be, and then ask for it. Like, hey, if you found this show valuable, if this helped uplift you or whatever, you got to ask for it then. It's just a matter of, you could ask for email addresses and then pick somebody to give away a book. That'll grow your email list, which will then, you can then turn around and, try to monetize that, which is aside from, well, it's just a marketing arm of sell your own stuff. When you have your own stuff, that's the most profitable. And the email list is the thing that really drives that. So it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, and I'd be a little hesitant. Like people ascribe value to that which they paid for it, right? So if they paid $10 for something or $100, of course, it seems more valuable to them. I would, I think sometimes we give it away for free. Everything's free. I'm not sure that's real engagement, right? I think there needs to be some kind of value built in to I mean, I value my Patreon subscribers personally more because they commit every single month to, to help with, or they see value in the podcast, so they give back. So I'm not sure that's a great model either. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really hustle on all of them, right, Dave? I mean, it's really it's doing them all and working super hard and maybe failing a bunch. And then if you get lucky and the gods provide, then all of a sudden, you may go where you want to go. You may not. It may happen 10 years from now.
I think the best kind of slant on this is I heard about a podcaster that you could get his book there was, how did he do it? There was somewhere in there, it was like, pay what you want. And then I think he would take somebody out of that group, and it was just random, and refund the payment. So that way you were getting some money. It wasn't a set price. So some people would give you $20 for your book. Somebody might give you $2, but he would then go in and refund it. That way one person would get the book for free, but you still had to kind of pay for it. So that was an interesting, I was like, that's a different slant on that. And it is, because a lot of times when you're just like, it's free, Randy says, Billy Corgan, musician, podcaster, professional wrestler, promoter. Yes. And is now wearing eye makeup when he does his interviews. So he's got his spooky, everybody, Jim and I are going to start putting on what are mascara.
No, I can't touch my eye things. It's not going to happen. I'm just going to be really clear about that. It's not. I barely grow a beard very well, so let's just be clear about that.
Should shorts be on a separate channel? Boy, that's a fun question, isn't it?
I wouldn't. I think we get too. I don't know. It's a good question.
That is a good question.
Kind of depends on the content in your shorts and what the long form content looks like on your YouTube channel and what you're doing there with it and your audience expectations. I would test it. If
it's on another channel, then I don't think you can do the link to the long version because it's not on the same channel.
I would start on the same channel until people say, and this is an area where I've watched some YouTubers do this, where they created long content first, and then they went short, and then they moved their short to a different channel, and I really liked their short stuff and their long stuff. Then they divided them out, and then the audience complained, so then they brought it back. I don't know what their strategy is now. Like they've made so many changes.
Right.
I think sometimes pick a strategy.
Yeah.
Stick to it.
Yeah. For at least 3 months.
More than a month.
Yeah.
Give it more than a month. Like, oh, we're done. Okay. I'm going to try something different. However, okay, Dave, that goes against the current entrepreneurial guru.
Right.
Advice.
Fail fast.
Right. And so, well, geez, you could fail through everything in 2 months. And then maybe that's the point. I don't know. I think that sometimes in this space, we need to give it a little more than a couple weeks.
Yeah. Stephanie says, can you upload short clips all at the same time, or do you need to space them out? No, I think you can upload them and schedule them. I think you can schedule them to release.
Yeah, I think you can.
So Ralph says, well, vidIQ is telling me now, when you say that, that's vidIQ's AI is telling me that I should be earning about $2,000 a month. Not sure where that is coming from, but that's what it's telling me. Well, if that's not true, then maybe it's time to stop paying attention to the AI in vidIQ. I mean, I've started to use that tool, and I'm still paying for it. I haven't gone into it yet, but I'm glad Ralph is doing this because now maybe I'll quit paying for it. But this is where, see, and I don't know vidIQ. I know other people have recommended it. Also, they have an affiliate program. But it's one of those things where not what works for Jim and it works gangbusters may absolutely tank for me. Everybody's audience is different. They're all the same. They like to listen to podcasts. They like to watch YouTube, but what works for Jeff C may not work for me. And so that's where you have to really know who your audience is and what they want, and give them what they want, and then ask them to tell a friend, et cetera, et cetera. And so some of stuff, because I mean, I watch a lot of YouTubers talking about YouTube. There's a great video I just saw this morning, and it's two guys that are big shot smarty pants. It's blank and blank, and they took like 47 videos, and they're interviewing top YouTubers, and they took out the best advice, and it was all great. But I was like, well, that's true, and it was things like know your audience, duh. But I'll be interested to see how specific they get, because some of it's very generic. Randy says YouTube's total revenue is about $8 billion. That's with a B, kids. Based on how much they are paying out to content creators, they can't be making money. Alphabet has to be subsidizing it with funds from another division. That could be.
Very possible. Hey, two of the biggest YouTubers that I know, and they're pretty big. Both, they do their shorts. They have long content, so 30 minutes more of their videos, right? And then their shorts are on their page. So I would, if you go to their YouTube page, you can see video, and then there's a short tab. So I think probably keep it on the same page now.
Yeah, and Stephanie's got a great point. Reach out to other people in your genre. So in Ralph's case, that's a faith-based show. See if there are other ones. And there is there's a word for it. You can go into a video and ask someone to be, and it's not contributor, it's not partner, but it's a word in your YouTube studio. And if they accept it, that video will go onto their channel as well. I forget what that's called. I'm sure somebody will figure it out. But that is something else you could do. So keep that in mind. And just in terms of, reaching out and finding other like-minded people. He says, Matt says, someone I know motivates attendance to classes by taking money to attend and giving the money back at the door when they arrive.
That's a good idea.
So
that is an awesome idea. Actually, so I worked for a bank like 1,000 years ago, and the bank got bought by another bank, and we were having our final Christmas party. And they, at the end of the year, and they charged for it. And the uproar
right.
in the organization of, this bank has more money than, they just sold, and how dare they, right? It was like $5. It literally was like $5 to get into this Christmas party. Everybody was complaining. But the night we got there, they gave you the $5 back. They didn't tell anybody, right? They gave you the $5 back, and we're like, enjoy yourselves. Thanks for coming. It was the best attended corporate Christmas party the company had ever done. The company had been around, 100 years. And so I love that idea because it goes back to the point I made earlier. If everything's free, people they're like, well, it's worthless then. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. You don't, but you pay for it. You charge somebody to come to your live event, they'll be there.
Yeah,
as little as $5, and they will be there because they gave you some money. So I love that advice. We've talked about it before, but I love that advice, and I'd say don't shy away from trying to make everything free. No, shy away from trying to make everything free. Yeah.
Well, back when I played in a band, some of the best places we played had a door cover charge to get in, and it was like $5. And that was to help pay the band. But also, if you can afford $5 just to get in the door, you can probably afford another $5 for a beer, et cetera, et cetera. Jeff says Shorts now has a new collaboration feature. That's it. Collaborate. It's a pretty cool feature for video podcasters who have guests. Yeah. So if you have guests and you're doing video, definitely do that. Lead with Jim says originally started a different channel because it was believe Shorts hurt the channel, but now they combine. But you have to know the Shorts audience and the long form audience are not the same. Yeah, that's true. There's a guy, I just call him the bearded coffee dude. It turns out his name is Nick Fuentes. He's a right wing kind of guy, but he's pretty sarcastic and he's pretty fun to watch. And I love his shorts. His shorts are fun. They're to the point, and they end with a little punchline. His long form stuff, I tried to watch it yesterday, and he is his delivery was just information. It might as well have been saying 13% of people do this, 27% of people do this, and this is why. And it was just info. There was no, I don't know, there weren't any stories. It was just like reading Wikipedia. And I was like, and the fact that, these people are awful and they're dumb and they're stupid. And I'm tired of name calling. I don't know about you. I'm done with that. I'm like, if all you're gonna do is call names, like,
It's been around. It's been around since the beginning of time, right?
Where
two or more are gathered, there will be
name calling, yes, and a casserole. vidIQ is for YouTubers. Matt says it's harder to make it work for podcasters. It's about building a packaging first by chasing popularity. Yeah, and I wish I knew the name of this video. I'll see if I can find it behind the scenes here. But they were saying how there was a guy that got like 400% more views because his content was amazing. No, because he spent more time looking at his, he changed one thumbnail and it just blew up the video. So that I get
a great
it.
product, and we're never.
And there we go. I found the video. It's called the YouTube Playbook in 37 minutes. I put a link in the show notes and here in the chat room. Although I shouldn't, because now you guys are going to go watch that, or so I thought. I'm trying to copy and paste from one computer to the other one here, but it's from Colin and Samir. I knew I remember it was so and so and so and so, but they were saying that, and I don't know why I get offended that the thumbnail takes so much. I'm like, I worked so hard on the content, and it's not going to get an audience because the thumbnail. And I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. That whoever makes the goofiest faces gets the most views. But yeah, and then Chris says every YouTuber, every podcaster, we're all looking for a shortcut. I mean, people make millions off of people. Colin and Samir are the YouTube people at the moment. Yeah, that's like I said, I've watched 4 minutes. 4 minutes
for
of
the
this
next hour.
Yeah.
They'll be hot for like the next hour.
Yeah.
Dan Lefebvre says something interesting in the chat. He says, "Do you think?" And I'll ask you this question: do you think that's why so many people don't see value in podcasts because they're free? I'll ask you that, Dave. What do you? I've got a thought, but what are your thoughts on? Do you think we should? I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know your thoughts.
Well, I know I don't hesitate to listen to one because it's not costing me anything. Whether that will get you your first click. If you tell me something and it either makes me laugh, cry, think, groan, educate, or entertain, but especially if you say, try this, and I try it, and it does what you said it did, you've now gained my trust. Now you've got my second click. And if I do it again, I'm probably your follower. So once it worked, I'm going to come back and follow you. So to me, the free is I don't have a problem throwing away shows because, well, it didn't cost me anything and this is not bringing me any value. So, so to me, it's weird. We're paying in follows and subscriptions, which hopefully then that person has a strategy to turn that into some sort of money, unless they're just doing it because they want to be helpful. I don't know. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I think in most cases, the free podcast is the loss leader in the, you're doing it, making it available. It's not free. It's not free to you. You're spending your time, your money. I've been going through all my subscriptions for podcasting. I'm like, I spent a little bit of money each month, making this happen. So it's not free to you. You've put value in it, but it is a loss leader for some people. And then, it depends on how do you want to monetize. If you're going down there, if you don't want to monetize, then just let it be its own thing. Just do it the way you want to do it. Right. But if you want to monetize that, then the value piece comes in. We see this on YouTube with a lot of memberships, right? They have a membership ability there where you can create a membership level and people can pay and they get exclusive content based on, and then YouTube will surface that content to people who are not members, and you can click on it. It'll be like, you need to be a member to do this, right? That's a strategy. And I think the question goes back to what we said in the very beginning. What are you selling, right? Then you back everything into that question. What are you selling? Whether it doesn't have to be, the selling doesn't have to be a money thing. You don't have to be, t-shirts or hats or, right. You can be selling ideas or concepts, but that's still, what are we selling? And then we back into that. Like, okay, what do I need to do to attract people to do that? If that's what I'm doing. Dave, I mean, you and I do this on Saturdays, and we've been accused of hiding this podcast because we don't push it super hard. We don't spend a lot of time or a lot of money or a lot of effort on trying to make it the largest podcast on the planet. You do some things, you put it on LinkedIn, I see you do some things with it, right? I always like it, try to promote it and those kinds of things, but we don't go hardcore after it. I think part of it is one, we really like doing this. So it's just kind of fun to get together on Saturday mornings to get it done. Two, it is a outreach for you and an idea generator for you for school podcasting, right? You get benefit out of it by hearing what people are talking about. So the value for us in it is that, right? That's how I see it.
Yeah. Stargate Pioneer, good to see you, buddy. Do people not see value in radio? I don't. Man, the morning radio guy here, Rover's Morning Glory. Every morning, when I talk about when people make you laugh, cry, think, groan, I tune into him for about 10 minutes every day to just go, ugh. Like one day they were talking about somebody's feet. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching this and I'm bored because I don't really care about their feet. And they have this one guy that's just weird and dumb and stupid. And all they do is make fun of him. And he's just, because he's kind of weird, dumb, and stupid. But he's got really bad hygiene. And I'm like, okay. Now, in the same way that I don't read fiction, I want something that I can, like, what am I supposed to do with the fact that this guy's toes are dirty and ugly, and the fact that the audio of it was, okay, that's helpful. So, no. And every time I turn on radio, because I'll go in the kitchen and I'll ask the woman in the tube from Amazon to play the sports channel. And I'm here to tell you, 70% of the time, it's going to be an ad for online betting, which I just find sad. And it's followed by another ad from a different online betting thing, which is then followed by, another online. It's just depressing. And, so I keep going back to radio because it's easy. That's the one thing. I can go in my car and click a button and go, oh, great, that same song I've heard a million times from Back in Black. Do I really need to hear You Shook Me All Night Long again? So
there
I'm
are more channels than the 80s channel.
Well, and then I'll go to the next one, and the next one.
Move away from 99.9 The Rock to 107.4
100.7 The Buzzard.
Smooth.
Yeah, home of the Buzzard. Yeah. Which back in the day launched the bands Bruce Springsteen and Rush. And now they're probably still playing Bruce Springsteen and Rush. I'm like, where's the new music? But don't get me started. If you haven't watched,
it has its place though. It has its place. I mean, certainly it's still working. If it wasn't making money, it wouldn't be working, right? I mean, we saw the consolidation of radio in the 90s, and that was the only way radio was going to survive, was to consolidate down and make it more efficient, right? They had to do that to survive. Your local radio station, if it was independent for most of the time, would not survive today. Now, there's probably some exceptions. Oh, in my area, whatever. There's a few exceptions. But your local radio station would not be around today if they had not consolidated, right? And then two, it's still getting listens, and advertising is still working.
Yeah.
They're still making money.
Yeah, they still make tons more money than podcasting does. Yeah,
they do indeed. You know why? Because they have professional salespeople.
Yeah,
that's why. They have people who go out and beat the street to get ads. If you hired a professional salesperson to go out and beat the street for ads, you might get more ads. You might not. I mean, today's market's tough, but they're professionals at this. They do it all day.
Yeah, Brad's got a great question. Do you think there's a sweet spot to charge for people? We mentioned $5. When I opened the School of Podcasting, it was $5, and I didn't get hardly anybody. And then you need a good friend who called you up and said, hey, Dave, do you know of anything on the internet that has value that's $5? And I went, probably maybe some cheap plastic toy from China? He goes, exactly. He goes, you're charging $5. So I raised my price to 20. And instantly, like literally the next day, had more people sign up. The bad news was they weren't doing anything. They would give me $20, and I'm like, great. My business model was you will start a podcast, and people will go, hey, where'd you learn how to podcast? And you go, oh, you got to go see my buddy Dave over at schoolofpodcasting.com. But they weren't. Now, a few were, but there are a lot of people that were giving me $20 and doing nothing because they're going to get around to it. And it wasn't until I raised my price to $50 that people actually started making podcasts. And so there is a perceived value problem. Now, I just gave Tom Buck, I just signed up for his community on YouTube. Tom Buck's a YouTuber. He talks a lot about podcasting and microphones and cameras. Here's why I don't do major video. He was like, he was sporting wood about a lens for a camera. And I was like, okay. And they were showing it. It was literally just a difference between being a super tight shot and, ooh, now I can see a little more of the background and it's blurry. Ooh, right? The lens was $900. And I was like, no, I'm not spending $900 to do this. I'm like, no. But that's what Tom does. And to his credit, he goes, I didn't buy this. This is a friend of mine. So I'm like, okay, good for you. But what happened was, thanks to the algorithm, so as much as I crack on the algorithm, it kept serving me up Tom's stuff. Now, I've been watching Tom's stuff for years, but I actually went over and started watching, and I watched like 5 videos in a row, all that delivered great value. And I went, you know what? I'm getting value for this. And at the end, he goes, hey, here are all my supporters. And I was like, how much is his support? And there are different levels. And I'm like, you know what? It's a cup of coffee. I'm going to give this guy $5 a month. I don't know that gets me in the names at the end. I think I had to give him 20 for that, but just a way of saying, attaboy, I hope you keep this up, have $5. And so that's, to me, $5. 5 is the new 1 in my book. Cause you know what I mean? It's like nobody uses change anymore. Like nothing's worth 50 cents. It's at least $1. And $1 now is almost like the dollar meal at McDonald's is now $5. So I'm kind of like, $5 isn't as much as, I always tell people, I remember the taste of government cheese. So $5 to me is still $5. But I think for most people, $5 may not be that big a deal. I don't know. What do you think, Jim? Is there a price there?
Crazy. Isn't it crazy how we lost the sense in our ads?
Oh, yeah.
When you go out to buy, when you go to maybe the grocery store is different. I know Walmart's different, like Walmart, Target, but for a lot of services now, like you go out to eat, the menu, it's just $4 or $35, or like there's no sense in any of those things anymore. Here's what I always think. And, I'm notorious for being cheap. So like, I love a good deal. And I love thinking that I got one over on the man. That's usually what the way I do shopping. But, smart people, when they, you say you're getting ready to buy something and you're thinking, man, say it's $250. And you're like, God, $250, that's a lot. If that $250 makes you $5,000, you don't even hesitate, right?
Right.
You go, if I said, Dave, I'm going to give you $250, you're going to give me $250, and then I'm going to give you back $5,000, you would fall all over yourself to give me that money, right? That's the value proposition that you need to do with people. I mean, I spent $1,000 on an iPhone. Why? Because I need it. Like I find that kind of value in it. And I think you have to ask yourself the question on this when we think about this dollar. What is this dollar amount? Listen, you're going to get people, and I get this in my Patreon group. It's value for value. This is why I kind of railed against the value for value a little bit, or I still do in some ways. It was too small. Like it wasn't enough for what we were doing. Right. And so I think you've got to be giving the person on the other end so much value back. They don't even question why they're giving you that money. Like, oh yeah. So don't focus on the dollar amount, focus on the value that you're giving them, right? It has to be so good they don't even question. my wife and daughter listen to Taylor Swift. When that album came out, that her newest album,
Right.
they were falling all over themselves to buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
we bought the physical album, right? And
35
because
bucks. Yeah.
it's a thing, right? Not that that's wrong, right? Not that that's wrong, but it to them it had so much value they didn't even question about it. So as you're thinking about your content, does it have that kind of value that people are falling all over themselves? Maybe somebody wrote this in a book, Dave.
Yeah.
That they just
Jonathan Oakes of Trivia Warfare delivered so much value to his group, the Trivia Army, is the fact that they were just like, where do I give you money? George Hrob over at the Geologic Podcast, they're like, George, look, we appreciate you're a musician, and we've bought all of your albums. We even bought the weird coloring book. Like, we want to give you money. And he was just like, okay, fine, here's a PayPal. If you want to do monthly, here it is. That's when you know when it's time to monetize. Stephanie asked a great question. Do I still have people that pay me 20? I still have people that now for 20 years are paying me $5 a month. Not many, but I have a couple. And when you do the math on that, you're like, wait, $5 a year for 20 years. I'm like, yeah. And I've never raised the price. I always tell people, whatever price you join at is the price you stay at. So when I went from 49, I added unlimited consulting and I went to 99. If you're at 49, you're still at 49. That's just a Dave thing. So I'm like, because you believed in me before, and I appreciate that. So join the School of Podcasting now before I raise the price again. Chris says
this whole thing has been a giant
commercial. That's it.
Join the School of Podcasting.
Yeah. Liz Wilcox has $9. See, here's the thing. What problem are you solving? This is the other thing when it comes to pricing. Because, yeah, so if like Liz Wilcox, from what I understand, is making serious bank at $9 a month, but she's doing it in volume, right? Liz is great, by the way. She's a very unique person, but really knows her stuff. And I'm this close to giving her $9 a month. And if you want to learn email marketing, Liz Wilcox is $9 well spent. And so you have to, like, what am I solving? Because, you know, if dad's dying from cancer and you go, I've got the cure for cancer right here, I will pay for that. I don't even know what the price is. I will sell grandma to the gypsies to, you know, whatever, right? Boy, there's two wrong things in that phrase. I got to get rid of that phrase. Because A, I'm selling grandma, and B, I think gypsies is not a good word anymore. Anyway, so, you know, that's the thing. Why do college students pay so much money for books? Because I need that book to take the class. I will pay whatever it takes. It's awful when
that might be extortion. Like,
yeah, well, that's
the
true.
College book example.
That is extortion.
Let's just be really clear about that.
But you know, why do people pay $20 for ChatGPT? Why do we pay? You know, it solves a problem, and that's usually it. If you want somebody to pay you something, you're solving a problem, and that's either, and almost always it relates to saving time or saving money. One of the two is usually in the top two, and then you get into it removes stress, it feeds me. Like, why do we pay for food? Well, because again, that's extortion. But you know, so go back and look at what you pay for.
Food's a good example though of this. Like, you know, we go out to eat, and the expectation when you're out eating, you know, hey, we have this really popular restaurant here called Pitch in Omaha, and they have really good pizza, but it's like a $50 pizza, right? Let's just be really clear about that. I can go to Casey's, which is a gas station here that makes really good pizza too, and I get it for 20, right? And so there are times when I'm going to spend the 50 because I want the atmosphere, I want the environment. That's what's going to be value to me. It's going to be a nice evening. I get a nice old fashioned there. I can't get the nice old fashioned at Casey's. They're not selling old fashions out of the gas station. Oh, that'd be a good idea. Maybe not. Maybe just for the passengers. But there are times, you know, hey, we just want Casey's pizza, and I'll fork over the $20 or $25. No problem, right? From that perspective. So two different locations with different expectations and different sets of value. I actually like the gas station pizza a little bit better than I like the pitch, but I'm buying the atmosphere, right? When I go there, I'm buying that piece. Somebody said in chat, what's her face was doing $9. Maybe I'll do $7. No, I wouldn't go down. I would go
Yeah.
up.
Well,
And the other thing you can do is if you set your price too low to begin with, raising it is so hard, but it's so much easier to say 15 and it's discounted to 10.
yeah.
Right? And then you're still $1 over and people are like, hey, it's $10, right? Don't set low to begin with. Set high to begin with and discount it, because it's much, much harder once you're bringing people in to bring that price up. You've set the expectation of what it is. Easier to bring it down on a temporary basis and then bring it back up from a pricing standpoint. Listen, if you're ashamed, no, I'm not saying you're ashamed in this case, but you got to put it out there. You know, and you got to be proud and you got to say this is worth it.
Well, so many times we compare ourselves to Netflix. Well, Netflix is whatever Netflix is, $16, $17 a month. How can I charge 20? Because you're delivering stuff that they can't get anyplace else. When you get hyper niche and you can only get that kind of information, that's worth more money because it's solving a problem. So it's kind of tricky. Mark from practicalprepping.info says he's used to be a wedding photographer, once paid $900 for a used camera lens and paid $1,500 for another. So so when you see these people doing that, video, and they're really that's an expensive hobby, kids. Dan Lefebvre says $1 given to someone online also has all the fees taken out. Yeah, so you end up getting like 60 cents out of that. So that was that. Let's see. Jim, did you rant about $5 last week? I don't remember if you did or not. I don't know. I'm missing that.
What was my rant?
I don't remember.
I don't either. I was in pain.
Yeah. Dan says, of course, the tricky part is value means something different for everyone. Yeah, that's the tricky part. Because some people, $5 is like, I don't know if I have $5. Other people, 20 is like, oh, here, have a 20. So that's kind of the good news bet. For sure. That's why marketers are a full-time job to figure out the target audience and what they will find valuable.
Dave, I think sometimes too with that dollar amount, the way we do our podcast limits our audience, right? The way you do it, if it's going to be 10 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, okay, that's going to get certain audiences. The way you do it is going to dictate the certain audiences. Same thing on pricing, right? How you charge for it is going to limit your audience. Listen, I know you all know this, but luxury brands, when you think about the luxury brands, right, out there, they charge more, not because they always have a better product, right? Because sometimes it's the exact same thing as what you paid discount for, right? And sometimes it is better, but is it that much better? No, you're buying status, right?
Yeah.
When you're wearing that, whatever, I couldn't even tell you what the current brands are, that because I don't care, but there are people who do. Right. And you're like, oh, no, I'm driving this, or I've got these jeans, or it's this hoodie or the sweatshirt or whatever. Right. You're buying the status that's associated with it. And they fight hard. Luxury brands fight hard to keep their prices up. They don't apologize about them. They're always trying to get the highest price. Right. Now, because of that, they limit their audience. People like me who don't care about that stuff. I'm not their customer. Right?
I'm not buying a Gucci bag.
Yeah, in podcasting, we try to be we want everybody to be our customer. Right. And friends, you just limit it by what you do. You limit it by who you are and what you're doing. And so you have to realize, like, who am I targeting? And then don't be a luxury podcast and charge $5. Don't be a budget podcast and charge $99. Right? You hear what I'm saying, right? I mean, so know who your audience is, know who you're going for, and know you're going to limit people out in the process, and make sure your value proposition is appropriate to the folks that you're trying to attract. And it's not like budget and luxury are one's easier than the other. They're both really hard, right? If you have the $99 luxury brand and you're charging $5, you need 20 for every one, you need 20 others, right? So it's hard as well. So just make sure who you're going for.
Yeah, Jeff C says, Jay Klaus says, everyone wants recurring revenue, but it's really hard to provide recurring value. And that's the tricky part. Yeah. So it's always tricky, but speaking of people giving money, it's time to thank our awesome supporters. We really do deeply appreciate that. We realize, especially, we had somebody tell us they had a government job and they're not getting paid. And they're like, so we got to kind of back out. So I totally understand that, but you could be an awesome supporter like many of these fine people on the screen. And if you want real value, well, then you want to join the School of Podcasting. We can not only help you launch, but we can help you grow as well as plan. Because I've had I've had a handful of people that have joined the School of Podcasting. I'm like, where should I start? I go into planning your podcast. They're like, I've been podcasting for 3 years. I'm like, I know. Go take planning your and they'll come out and go, man, I'm not doing this right. And like, yeah, that's why I told you to start there. Don't forget you can use the coupon code COACH, and that comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you just need some honest feedback, check out podcasthotseat.com, where I'll check out your episode that you pick, as well as your website. And if you go to askthepodcastcoach.com, that is Podpage. And if you want to try Podpage, well, then just go to trypodpage.com. And if you want to learn Podpage, you can go to learnpodpage.com. And if you need more Jim Cullison, and hey, who doesn't, then just go over to homegadgetgeeks.com. Or if you want to go crazy, you can go to theaverageguy.tv. They both go to the same place. So take your pick. Two ways to get more Jim. And it's time for our lovely Wheel of Names, where we take one of those awesome supporters who is paying $20 a month. Thank you so much for that. It's people like Jody from Audio Branding, Ralph from I need to update your artwork, Ralph. The formerly known as Grit and Growth Business, now known as the Content Creators Accountant. Could be John Muntz, could be Greg over at Indie Drop In. We'll spin the wheel and see what we get. And it's looking like, is it Ralph? Is it Ralph? No, it goes up to Ross Brand, who I affectionately refer to as the king of streaming. Ross Brand on Podcasting is the show. Super great guy. And I know the last time I was checking out his show, he was explaining all the video streaming on Substack. And who knew that was a thing? I was like, holy cow. But Ross did, because again, he's the king of the live streamers. So thank you, Ross, for being an awesome supporter. And if you would like to be an awesome supporter, one of these buttons will actually advance this. Honest, I will. There we go. If you want to be an awesome supporter, because maybe we saved you some time, saved you some money, saved you a headache, maybe we kept you educated or even made you giggle, then you can go over to askthepodcastcoach.com/awesome and be an awesome supporter today. So thank you to all those people that have been doing that. Greatly appreciated.
Whoa. What's going on with the video? Why am I big?
You're big. You are big. Wow. That's wait, can I do
a scene? Was there a scene maybe that got
There was a scene and I okay.
We're back to, although I'm a little bit bigger. You're gonna drive people who have
I know.
Now
there we go. According,
we'll have
and your name is not where. Oh, it's
this is where
cats
I love
and dogs,
StreamYard and Restream.
Yeah,
like you
really
can't mess up these things, right?
Yeah,
you can't mess them up.
It's because Dave.
We should have done. We should have done. We still could if you wanted to. But your artwork for this show and for your other shows is so good. We should have done merch for this show, T-shirts and hoodies and. This for us in this show, as we're talking about monetization, our best, because we're a personality show, right? We don't sell anything. Yeah, we're selling the School Podcasting, right? I hope you all know that. That's why we do this, so that Dave can pimp the School Podcasting, right? And we have good fun doing it as well. But a secondary stream for us would have been merch for sure, right? To have people wear it around, and then you could do things where people show up in different places with it and they take pictures and you reward them for that with social rewards, right? Those kinds of things. We probably, I wouldn't say we missed the boat because the boat's still there, but merch, which is hard, I mean, it's not, you
Yeah.
don't build it and they will come. You've got to, you've got to do some things with it, but merch probably could have worked well for us in this setting.
Yeah, Rich is saying
Now you're
lock your
getting ECAM advice.
lock your scenes. What happened was, I forget where Jim was, and we had, I forget who it was, stepped in.
Was it when I was out for my
It might have
neck
been with a
that-
neck,
that-
and I
that
think I
weekend?
unlocked it so I could change the name, and then somehow accidentally moved it, and now it's cats and dogs. Yeah. So
Listen, I'd wear Ask the Podcast Coach merch every week if we had it. Like that would be, we'd have hoodies and T-shirts. I'm not saying we should do this. This is not pressure.
Well,
This is not I'm not bullying you into doing the merch thing. It was just I was thinking about it. I was just like, that would be an interesting. And with merch, you can't go cheap. Like this isn't one of those things you go, well, we'll try it. You got to kind of go all in.
Yeah.
And be like, have a bunch of different stuff. And then you gotta sell the heck. Like you guys would probably get sick of us say, hey, we got merch that's available for you, because you can't make merch and then not tell anybody about it. You got to remind people like, hey, we got merch, and by the way, I'm wearing it. And some of those.
there you go. I don't know what domain I typed in to get this. I think it's podcastclothes.com, because I remember it was hard to say clothes. It does help if I spell it right. I think that's where this runs over to my TeePublic or whatever. But yes, you've got, School of Podcast. Is there no Ask the Podcast Coach shirt? I need to get the logo, especially because I've got that awesome logo from Mark. But there are a bunch of, if I can get the actual link here. Yeah, nope, that's not it. Yeah, I will put this in the chat room. So if you want, I will somehow make a Ask the Podcast Coach show. But most of these, I think I have them marked up like I make, $1 per shirt because they're one-off shirts.
Tell people.
So it's
Hey,
not.
AI Goes to College.
Yes.
Has a super chat out there.
Oh my goodness, a super chat. Well, then we got to do this. Please work. I hit the button. There we go. Yes. Yes. So thank you for that. Yes. Check out Craig's show, AIGoesToCollege.com. And also, if you want to live well and flourish, you can check out livewellandflourish.com. And I always remember I have to time this to where the money quits falling and I can hit the stop button. So thank you very much for that. Deeply appreciated. So,
well, if we're going to do merch, though, we got to do it right. I mean, that's like, listen, you having a store is great. We got to talk about it every week. If we're going to, like, we would technically need a merch segment in here where every week, maybe it's at the end. Hey, don't forget, go out here, get this done. You can order things here, get that stuff kind of done. So I appreciate all the support in the chat room. By the way, Dave still makes all the money off this. But, that if we're going to do merch right, if you're going to do merch right, you got to talk about it all the time. Like
all the time.
You have to wear it. You have to have it on. It's got to be in the camera shots, right? All that stuff.
When I looked into this for my book, Profit from Your Podcast, except that's, here we go, there. Profit from Your Podcast. I did write a book.
New? Did people buy that?
It's actually available as an audiobook now. Find it at Profit from Your Podcast. But the people that did well with merch, either it was almost always limited time only. Get the, ow, I hurt my neck T-shirt with Jim on it, or a phrase where it's like eCam isn't working today, doggone, ask that, whatever. My favorite was there was a show that was run by LGBTQ plus people. And as you might imagine, that somehow triggers some people. And somebody left them a 1-star review, and it just said stupid, and then it used a very naughty word. And they took a screenshot of that 1-star review and put it on a T-shirt, and then put their website address underneath of it. So it was kind of a badge of honor. Like, yeah, we are stupid blanks. And so I thought that was cool. But there was one guy that he had, and this is where he gets lucky, he had somebody in his audience that would just occasionally, they would come up with a phrase. Somebody would say, I remember one that was like, And I don't. This is so weird out. I just remember it involved a poopy banana. I don't remember why, but they made a poopy banana shirt, and it was an inside joke to the fans. It probably got people going, "Why do you have poopy banana on your shirt?" And then they go, "Oh, it's this podcast." Blah blah blah. But again, it was available only for a limited time only. And yeah, Rich says fourth wall. What I should do is talk to Alex from Podmatch, because when I wear the Podmatch t-shirt, it's like, ooh, it's not itchy. It's not, sometimes when you get a big giant decal, it's rough and it doesn't bend. Like Podmatch shirts are nice. AWeber, I still love their t-shirt. So it's a matter, like you said, you want it to be good because it's part of your brand. And fourth wall, if I remember right, doesn't make bad stuff. I know there's a bunch of YouTubers that use that, but then again, you kind of go, is that because they have an affiliate program? He said, looking for his link. They do have an affiliate program. And so, but from what I've seen, at least, you know, I need a Pod Page sweatshirt because on my t-shirts, it's getting a little cold for t-shirts here in Ohio. But yeah, merch is one of those things that it sounds like a great, your super fans will buy it. But the problem is, because you're not buying in bulk, they're fairly expensive to make one-offs, and then you make, you know, if you don't jack them up, because then it's like, you know, I remember I was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a couple months ago, and their t-shirts were like $35 to $45, and I'm like, I like the Rock Hall, but no, like they weren't that great looking shirt. It was just a picture of a pyramid with little guitar frets on it, and I was like, you know, so that was one more, I want to give you $40 to keep this thing open. It's very much a patron kind of thought there, that it was more of a donation than I want a really cool shirt. Yeah, so Rich says, yeah, you can use a cheap shirt or a more expensive one, higher quality shirt. Yeah. Sweatshirts, you know, yeah. You know, it's one of those things. Have you ever tried merch for anything?
Yeah, we had Home Gadget Geek shirts for a while, and they sold okay. Addie Salcido, remember Addie?
Yes.
Yeah, so Addie helped me. That was a little partnership between me and her. She liked doing that kind of stuff, and I hated it. I hate merch. See, let's just be. I'm gonna just be transparent. I hate doing merch, but it would. So she was like, "Oh, I would love," and not the merch itself, but I hate all the back end business stuff you got to do right for it. So I said, she was on my podcast. I said, I don't want to do it. She's like, I'll do it for you. I said, would you do it and keep all the money? And she said, yes. I was like, that excellent. You set up the store, you keep all the money, I'll sell the t-shirts. And so for about a year, we sold t-shirts. And then I just kind of, we did it for a while. We stopped it, you know, and we sold, I don't know, 50 of them, maybe 25, something like that. So,
and if you want a really good looking shirt, you know, there's a guy called Mark at podcastbranding.co that could probably help you design a t-shirt as well.
Well, because you use Mark, Dave, that's why. I mean, your logos are so good.
Yeah.
Because you know, Home Gadget Geeks, I had a designer do mine too. And so, like, you know, there's it is when you have that kind of stock, it's not what you call it, but art graphics, you should take advantage of them for sure.
Yeah, and I love the fact that part of your logo, like, is your glasses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of cool, and the fact that you've got a home. It's just it's you know, this is one of those where somebody put some thoughts into it. So
if you turn the glasses up, it's GG for Gadget Geeks. Right? So right. I mean, all these little, you know, all these little hints in there of things. The guy who did my logo was I had him do it when he was a high school student way back in the day. He's gone on the latest Wonka movie, you know, that came out a couple years ago. He created the font for that whole movie.
Wow.
Like, this dude's talented. Yeah. I didn't know at the time. He was young. I mean, he was still in high school when I had him do my logo stuff. And he was looking for some additional experience, and he was a super great guy. And so we partnered together on that, and he made some stuff for me, and I've used the heck out of it. So it does. That's an area. I mean, I really value the talent that Mark has, because nobody else, I shouldn't say nobody, not many of us have that kind of talent. And so thank goodness he is sharing that talent with the world, and he's worth every penny. Like, you're going to pay for it, but he's worth it. That's, when we're talking about value, this is a good example of it. Mark is not the cheapest guy.
No,
right?
he's not.
He's not the budget Fiverr guy. But everything he does is excellent. And for me, if I needed it, I'd pay for it. He and I talked about replacing my logo at one point. We talked about doing it, and I just never got to it. It was just it's a little bit of work too on your end if you're going to do your logo stuff. It's not like make a logo and then it magically appears, right? There's back and forth that goes on, and some revisions and some of those kinds of things. So, but very much your graphic design work is worth every penny if it's done right.
Yeah. The fun thing was, this was the old School of Podcasting logo. So it had a little microphone, and it had, like this, it looks like a waffle pattern on the microphone, because that would be the grill, and then the font, and then a little hat, things like that. The problem that I didn't think about when I originally had this done was this microphone with all the patterns on it and stuff is horrible to print on a t-shirt or anything else. And so in theory, I should have wiped out the microphone and just used from here on over. But I think I paid $10 for that from somebody on Fiverr, right? Not a horrible logo, but in the end, when I got to the one I'm using now, I was just like, oh, this is so much better. So, you kind of get what you pay for with that. Speaking of paying for things, as we got about 8 minutes here. Oh, first of all, I loved Rich just made a comment. He said, Jim hates merch as he wears a Nebraska T-shirt drinking from a branded mug. And also, somebody brought up the fact that we were really impressed that Miss Nebraska was crowned the new Miss USA, and Jim didn't say a thing.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so there you go.
I don't watch those. Well, let me be clear. I said this in the chat room. Let me be clear. I hate doing merch myself. Like, I don't want to design it. I don't want to set up stores. I don't want to have to pimp it all the time. I don't want to have to. I definitely buy, the t-shirt I'm wearing is because I ran a marathon at Gallup, and we all bought these, I paid for this. We all bought these really cool shirts that were, by the way, done by designers. They look good. Right. And I think on the back it says sweat like a pig, run like a fox, something like that, or run like a fox, sweat like a pig, something like that. So it's super cool, right? But and of course, Dan, I mean, this mug has this logo is awesome. I mean, Dan did a nice job on that. That's a really well done logo. So I love the concept of merch, and I love when people have great design on that. I just don't like I don't like managing it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to run a store.
Yeah.
No,
that's
just me.
It's one of those things.
He said, wait a minute, Jim doesn't make any money. Yeah, I don't want to manage that. Like, there's other reasons, but I don't want to manage all that stuff. I don't want to have Dave to say, okay, I got to cut you a check for, let's figure out how to. No. I'm here because I like hanging out with Dave. And there's other things involved in that as well, but primarily, I just want to support my good friend Dave. Like, I want to be a good human and come out here and I want to see Dave be successful with this. And so, it's one of the reasons I was like, no, let's not do that. You do it. It also allows me to just on a Saturday morning, an hour before the show, say, I can't show up today. I can't do it. Sorry. Right. So I have great freedom in that sense because of that.
Well, I will ask you in 2 months, because it'll be January. We always have what I call the uncomfortable conversation. I'm like, hey, are we still good with it? And you'll go, and then we move on.
I actually need to talk to you about that after the show's over today. So we're going to have that conversation 2 months early.
All right, good. Steph says, how many clips of your show do you put on YouTube? I don't think it's a number. For me, I know I'm now playing with Riverside, and I said, hey, make some clippy doos. And it did. And I was like, that one's not very good. That one's okay. Oh, that one's not bad. So my answer there was 1, because there was one that was good. So I don't think it's a matter of, it's a tease. It is a lot of mall talk today. If you remember, you'd go to the mall and there'd be a guy in the food court giving you pieces of chicken, hoping you would buy the sandwich. If I were to eat 5 pieces of that chicken, I wouldn't need the sandwich. That's the point. So you gotta keep some there, so you want to leave them wanting more. That's the whole point of the short clips. This is a horrible one to bring up at 4 minutes till. Here's a hot take to pull the podcast effort versus value apart. Monetizing and drawing value from your podcast, but with no intrinsic goals, is not going to work. I'm not sure do you follow this?
Yeah, like, we go. Can you throw it back on the screen for a second?
Yeah.
And we go back to that concept, like of effort versus value, right? Monetizing and drawing value from your podcast, but with no intrinsic goals, it's not going to work out. In other words, like if you don't have a goal in doing it, it could be a struggle. I think it's more about focus. Like, what's your focus going to be? And if your focus is to monetize it, you've got to go about it a little bit different than if it's not to monetize it. And by the way, neither one of those is better. You can, we just said, I don't monetize this podcast with Dave because my values here are to support Dave. That's what I want to do, right? It's a choice I've made in that. But if we had come out the gate and said, okay, Dave, you and I, we're going to split it 50-50 and we're going to go at this thing like we want to make some money off of it, we'd do it completely different. I mean, it would be a different kind of show, right? Now, content may be the same, but we may do some things a little, maybe not. But yes, so I agree with that, right? Now, it doesn't mean it can't be, just because you decide not to monetize it, it can't be successful. It can be very successful,
right?
And not a lick of monetization. Right, that's in it. So I think Home Gadget Geeks is a lot that way. Like I do very little to monetize that thing. I have other motivations of why I don't, but I do very little to monetize it. It for me, it's brought me, over the last 15 years, it's brought me a lot of great personal value.
Yeah.
So
I remember there was a member of the School of Podcasting, and I asked him how his downloads were doing. He's like, "Oh, I haven't looked at my downloads in months." He goes, "All I know is I get to talk to people I have no business talking to." And he goes, so, it's like, so it's not always about money. It's like, now those relationships led to other opportunities, which probably led to money. But, SP says values, goals, focus, mission statements, and strategy, all great topics for deliberate planning for content creation. Even when I was in bands, I remember I was in a country band, and we knew we weren't moving to Nashville, but we wanted to be one of the best country bands in the area. And so we had a set thing where it had to be a song that was in the top 10 within like the last 5 years. That was our criteria. Like if it made it to number 11, it's a great song. I'd love to play it, but it's not and it made it easy to select songs. And then we had, you show up on time. We'd always do a sound check. It was just all these little things. Now, it was a hobby, and we spent money to make sure we had the right equipment to sound good. But in the end, it was a hobby. And in the end, did I make money? Sure. But I wasn't going to, quit my day job any time. So it's funny because in the 70s, you made somewhere between $50 and $100 a gig. And in the 2000s and 2010s, you made $50 to $100 a gig. It really, and that's why you have more people now doing, in a way, kind of AI. You have guys that they're called looping machines. And so he'll hit a button and it'll record him playing some chords. And then when he lets off his foot, it just keeps repeating. And then he'll sing over that. He'll play the guitar. So he's a one-man band because there isn't much live music, at least in Akron, Ohio. If I was in Austin or Nashville, that'd be a different story. But So anyway, Jim, what is coming up on Home Gadget Geeks?
Yeah, we just talked about it, and because I don't do a lot of advertising, I took the week off. You can just
there you
do
go.
That when you're. So I took the week off, but plenty of shows to check out if you want to go out there. A couple live shows coming up that'll be interesting. You can check it all out. I said check it out too many times. HomeGadgetGeeks.com.
Check it out. Yeah. So this is not a thing I just do all the time, but it just so happens that another famous person died, and I'm doing a show kind of based on that. And you talk about hot takes. Ace Frehley, the lead guitar player from Kiss, passed away, unfortunately, at the age of 74. I'm now going to baby-proof my house because what killed him is he fell and ended up with a brain bleed. But here's the hot take. In my opinion, Ace Frehley was not a fabulous, remarkably holy cow kind of guitar player, and yet he influenced millions of people. So how do you influence people when you're not the absolute best in your field? And so I look into that, and I was like, ooh, I see some things here, why people connected with him, and how you could do the same thing with your podcast. So, and what's fun about that, it's already recorded, which means I'm going to go spend time with my great nieces and nephews today. We're going to Craniacs in Pennsylvania. I'm driving out of the state to go to a weird store that does Christmas 24/7, 365. It's a giant Christmas store, and it's not even Halloween yet. That's scary. But we will be back here next week. AskThePodcastCoach.com/live. Thanks to Craig over at AIGoesToCollege.com, podcastbranding.co, and based on a true story podcast.com. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And no matter where you're listening or watching, tell a friend.